Hi you guys, welcome back. So y'all know I'm gonna start by applying some chapstick because my lips are always crusty. Now I'm gonna prime my lids. I'm gonna take the Colourpop No Filter Concealer and I'm gonna take this like fluffy concealer brush and just use that to blend it out. This is gonna be, like I said, my eyeshadow base. I want to use a concealer just because it's worked for me for years and it's like my favorite way. So I'm also gonna go ahead and set that down just because it's a habit. I love to set my concealer. I feel like my eyeshadow applies better when I have a dry, or in this case matte base. So I'm going to be using the Dose of Colors Sassy Siennas palette. This is actually the first time I have used this palette. They sent it when they repackaged all of their palettes. So I'm going to use the shade Brassy. I believe. I don't really know which way these shades go, but I think it's the shade Brassy, and I'm going to now go in with the shade Stay Sassy. I'm looking at the palette if you're wondering why I sound kind of like, what is she doing? I'm looking at the palette trying to decide like what shade is what because I really don't know. So just know that that's the shade that I pointed to, which is the dark brown, is what I'm using now. I'm using a JH, I don't know what brush. It's like a small tapered blending brush, but it's small enough to get into the crease, and I'm just continuing to add this shade until I get like the darkness and the depth that I want. But now I'm gonna go back in with my concealer and just dab a little bit of this onto the lid area, pat it out with a concealer brush, and this is going to like ensure that the eyeshadow that I apply on there is going to be really pigmented and have a nice tacky base to stick to, just because sometimes with a matte eyeshadow base and when you apply your matte crease shades, it sometimes doesn't come off as pigmented as possible. So the shade that I do know for sure, because it's in the middle of the palette, is Foxy. So I'm going to take the shade Foxy with this Mocha brush, and this shade went perfectly with the tank top that I was wearing. Like to a T, I was like shocked because I don't think that I actually had another shade that I could have used, but I loved how the matte looked. So of course I'm going to take a little bit more of the brown shade and just run it through the crease just to make sure that that Foxy shade is nice and blended and it doesn't look harsh or anything like that. So now I'm taking my Pixie Endless Silky eye pencil, and it's in black, and I'm taking this along the lash line and I'm going to lightly do a wing. So you don't always have to use gel eyeliner, you don't always have to use liquid eyeliner, you can always use pencil. This is the first way that I learned how to apply eyeliner back in the day, and I'm taking a Mocha smudge brush and just smudging that out, and this doesn't smudge as much as I thought it would. It's mostly a eyeliner that like you put it where you want it and it stays type of thing. It didn't smudge the best, but I did my best and it elongated the wing, and now I'm just using a Q-tip with some makeup remover just to remove anything, and then I'm going to take that same Mocha smudge brush and just go over it with this Sigma black eyeshadow. It's a single eyeshadow, so I always grab it because it's right behind me while I'm filming, and this is just going to soften up that line, give it a little bit more of a smudgy kind of look as opposed to like a straight line. Not going too intense with the black, mainly just patting over the top just to give it a softer look. So now we're pretty much done, so we're gonna do our face. I'm gonna use this Green Goddess. This is the Milani Cannabis facial oil. It was the first time I used it, and I've used it 3 times since. And I did this video yesterday, which was Thursday, so I've been really loving it. It doesn't give off a sativa smell or anything. It smells really good actually. And I'm going to use my Maybelline Superstay foundation. This is the shade Mocha. I remember using this like maybe a few months ago, and I've just been loving it. Like I was so stuck on my Colourpop and I hadn't used this one in probably about a year, and I used it and I was just like, this is gorgeous. Like this photographs well, it looks well on my skin, it matches my skin tone pretty well. Like this is great. So I'm using an e.l.f. kabuki brush just to blend this in, and I'm really making sure to get the near the ear, the chin, and then also the forehead, really making sure that it's smooth and blended in. If you guys wanted to go a step further, you can always take your beauty blender and pounce it over your skin just to make sure that it's blended in, but the brush does justice for me. So new concealer, well, it's actually not new, but it's one of my new favorite concealers, the Milani Conceal and Perfect. This is a deep tan. Although it gives off a more golden look, I personally like a more neutral look for my concealers. I really, 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 really love the consistency of this concealer. And every single time I use it, I'm like, this is bomb. Like, I love it. I love it. It blends out so creamily and it just looks so good on the skin. It's full coverage. It smells decent. Like, it's a really beautiful concealer. And I'm just going to blend that in like you see me doing with my beauty blender. Make sure that you pounce whenever you use a beauty blender, a beauty sponge, whatever it may be. Make sure you pounce, because that's how you're going to get the blendability, as opposed to rubbing or swiping. Just pounce it all in, and then go in with your foundation brush afterwards and use that just to go along the edges, because the foundation and the concealer are 2 different shades and you don't want there to be, you know, harsh lines of demarcation and things like that. So that's just a little tidbit that I would say for y'all. So to set down that setting powder or the concealer, I'm going to use this Makeup Revolution Bacon Blot Powder. I've been obsessed with this too. I'm using a Sassy strobe brush. It's just like an under eye brush, and this powder, it's in Banana Deep. It is so good, you guys. It just, I don't know what it is about this powder. It brightens, but it doesn't dry me out like a loose setting powder. Like when I bake, it dries me out, and sometimes it's beneficial. So baking when I'm going and I know I'm going to be out and stuff like that, I'll definitely bake. But just for an everyday look, this powder is so good. So good. So I'm going to start contouring. I'm going to use my Black Radiance True Complexion Contour Palette in the shade Medium Deep. I'm using this IT Cosmetics, this like powder brush, and I'm using that to contour. Contouring is probably, besides applying setting powder, is probably like my favorite part in highlighting, because it just adds so much structure back into your skin. It, like, the concealer can look really bright, and once you contour, it just blends everything together. I feel like highlighting and contouring go hand in hand. I don't think that you can highlight without contouring or contour without highlighting. I feel like it's kind of like, they're kind of like twins, like they have to be together, you know what I mean? So I'm going to use my Sigma E39 Buff and Blend brush. This is just going to run down my nose just to further snatch the nose, going down the bridge of the nose, and also going underneath, like up by the brow, just to blend that all together. And then we're gonna move on to blush. So this is a NYX blush. It's called Cinnamon. I've had it for years, but oh my gosh, this went so perfect. Like, this whole look just like blew my mind. Like, I was just like, you are beat. Like, this looks so good. It just gave me such good color, and I did run a little bit over my nose because I've been kind of into that lately, and bringing it up a little bit higher on my cheeks and not just on the apples of the cheek. Of course, I blend it backwards, and then I'm going to start highlighting. So this is MAC's Oh Darling, and I've had this for quite some time. I never really use it just because it's a little frosty for me. I like what I like and I use what I like, but today's video I was like, I'm wearing gold, or I have some gold accessories and things like that. I need something a little more golden, so I decided to go with this one. Plus, I haven't used it in a while, and sometimes it's good to shop your stash, you know what I mean? So I'm putting this on the sides of my forehead, cheekbones, cupid's bow, nose, inner corner, highlight. Like, I literally bathed in this, and it looked so good during golden hour. Like, oh my gosh, it looks so good. So like I said, I am applying some of this into the inner corner. It's just easier to apply whatever highlighter that you're using into your inner corner. And I also do pop a little bit of this on the brow bone. I only highlight my brow bone when I'm doing a majority matte look, and I know it can use whatever I'm using on my for highlighter, and it looks good. Like, that's the only time that I use it. But you definitely want to make sure that you go back in with the big fluffy brush that you use and just blend above, like not above, but blend that out a little bit, because you don't want it to be harsh. You want it to be nice and blended and smooth. So just give it a little brush back and forth, and then I'm going to move on to the lash line. So the lower lash line, you could leave blank, but I felt like it was a little top heavy, and I felt like it would look so good, kind of grungy, kind of like dirty, messy if you smoked out the lower lash line. So I'm using the dark brown on the same brush that I used above and place that, and then I'm going to take a little bit more of the transition shade and place that right underneath. I'm bringing this down pretty low, you guys, because like I said, we're going for grunge. So I'm taking that same eyeliner and popping that into the waterline. I'm also going to run it a little bit above into my upper waterline. I don't do this very, very, very often, except in times where I was watching Pretty Little Fires, or Little Fires Everywhere. So if you see me looking around, that's what I was doing. But I don't do that too often, but I felt like it was necessary. The lashes that I applied are my Bava lashes in the style Nita. And then I'm applying my Colourpop BFF lip liner in number 4. So this lip liner, I applied a crap ton of this. You won't see all of what I applied just because, you know, for cutting down purposes, but I really went in with this because I wanted to make sure that the outer edge of this was going to be brown. Also went in a little on the sides, but I'm taking ABH's Ashton liquid lipstick, popping this into the middle. I was originally gonna put a lighter color in the center, but you can kind of see here I was kind of like, oh, it's okay, like it looks fine, but it actually looked really good. I don't usually go for a monochromatic moment, but today I was feeling it. So here you'll just see me going back in with the lip liner. Sometimes I go in after I apply the liquid lipstick just to, you know, make sure that everything looks good, and, you know, take your concealer brush, run it along your edges. My lips looked fire today, let me tell you. And y'all know I don't like me some matte lips, but I was feeling this matte eyeshadow with the matte lips and monochromatic moment. It all looked good. So after I sprayed myself with my Morphe Continuous Setting Mist, I was in love. Let me know what you guys think, but I think that this look turned out so bomb. Like the hair being crimped, pulled up, 2 little side pieces, the necklace, the earrings, the makeup, like everything, the shirt, everything. You hear me? But anyways, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Mwah. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe.